Alright guys, Andre here, and I wanted to cover, as you can see we got charts here in front of us, I wanted to cover some of the places that I like to go flounder fishing that actually I do really well, we do really well on. You should have seen to this point, or hopefully you've watched the video that Anthony put together, just how we tie up rigs, the size of hooks we use, the baits that we use. I'm going to put this all together in a video on the water here, hopefully this weekend or next. But one of the questions I get after how do you catch flounder is, where do I fish for flounder? And so I'm going to just pop you through what I look for and the hot spots that I go to. I don't think that any of my spots are secret. I think everybody has been there and knows about them. And so, you know, you'll probably find your own little honey holes at some point, but these are the places that I like to go. And first and foremost, I launch out of Port Angeles most of the time, so I'm just gonna zoom in here. I launch at the Boat Haven, the ramp over here, and I come out right around the hook. And so you see with flounder, one of the things that we're looking for is like sand and gravel bottoms. We're not looking for mud. We kind of want mud to not be there. I have found that around this front, it's like really good cobbles, a lot of sand, a lot of gravel. And I'm going to zoom in here and I can actually show you some of the features that I run on and target. So how deep do you fish? I'd say, you know, I'm fishing anywhere from 40 to legal depth 120. You know, anywhere in that ballpark you're good, and it's really what the bottom looks like and the transitions that are happening that I think are more important. So if you don't have charts, you can see we have Coast Guard stuff right here, and I can come right on the other side, on the north side of the spit where the Coast Guard station is. And I'm going to zoom in here and hopefully you can see these things. There's like these little humps and these little valleys. These things hold lots and lots of fish. And where I'm actually most successful is usually right on the transition, where we can see by these charts, it's, you know, getting deeper. We have a pretty strong shelf, and then it kind of levels out a little bit. And on the top and the bottom of this structure is where I like to target or run the best. So I'll set my drift and try to drift right through this area or right across the top, and do really, really well. So I tell people anywhere along this shelf in front of the spit. I mean, I've caught flounder from the point, which strangely enough, and I'm sure that other people have different experience, but between the red can and the point, for whatever reason, I don't normally do as well here until later in the season. I'll catch some really nice starries, some really nice flounder out here in August, September, sometimes in October. But I catch flounder along this shelf pretty far back up into here. I've noticed that if I get too far in, this ground kind of starts to get a little bit muddy, and you might notice that when you're jigging, the bottom won't feel as solid. It'll feel kind of soggy. And so, like, if you're as far in, and again, your mileage may vary, but I've noticed that if I'm as far in as the paper mill, or even really where it starts to kind of come away from the spit, where the shelf kind of starts to kick away from the spit, I kind of quit. I quit going west, and I'll go back and reset my drift. There's like a radio tower thing somewhere right here. Somewhere along the spit, and when I get to that point, I'll turn around and head back east, or I can keep coming west, because right here around the red can on the first hump this can be really productive, and especially on an incoming tide. So on a flood tide, I will fish the top of this hump straight off the shelf into the bottom, you know, till you get to too deep of water to fish. and you'll catch a lot of flounder around this hump. Actually, again, I haven't done as well on the other two humps. There's flounder there. There has to be. I know you can just catch flounder out in the flats. You know, one of the things about fishing the flats is there's fish there, but because we're not targeting specific structure, they can kind of just be anywhere. So sometimes I have to drift and fish a long time across the top of the flat before I'll catch fish. So there's fish up there for sure. But personally, I do better on the edge of the humps, or definitely in front of the spit. So we can kind of kick out here a little bit. I will just say, you know, through Freshwater Bay here, if you fish this at all, you know that there's a pretty gnarly kind of north-south rip that starts to build through here. And if you fish the south end of that rip, kind of drift north through that, and you can stay on the bottom, there's some really nice flounder to be found in here. So that's west. I mean, you can keep going farther west. I've fished farther west, and you can do that. Go as far west as you want. You know, as far as you feel like fishing from port. I don't think you need to go a long way to find good flounder, but, you know, maybe you have to go there to find the big ones. Moving east now, really, it comes back to like this shelf and this structure. So you can see we start to pick this one up off the Dungeness, and we get a pretty nice underwater cliff here. And you can fish, again, the top and the bottom of this cliff can produce. Honestly, I fished out here on the end of the Dungeness spit and haven't done as well. I've caught fish out here for sure. I haven't done as well farther out towards the end of the Dungeness spit, strangely enough. Moving farther east, this is actually the spot that I have really good memories of. It's the spot where I first went flounder fishing in 2016 or something, when I first was like, you know what, I'm gonna go out and specifically target flounder. And this is where I went, and it's a very strong producer. You can catch a lot of really nice flounder out here, and that's just off of Dallas Bank. So anywhere on Dallas Bank, really, there's lots of flounder, but again, we're fishing these edges. So this structure right here, around this top end of this point right here, can be very difficult to fish. It gets a really aggressive rip through there sometimes. But if you come up here past the point, so you're fishing north of it, in this flat transition, there's a lot of really good flounder in this area. Again, I've caught flounder up on the flats. This gets pretty shallow. It can be fun to fish. It's just shallow, and you know, I don't find as many fish up top here. On the east side of Dallas Bank, same thing right through here. I've actually never fished like way up north on Dallas for flounder. I'm sure you could. I'm not telling anybody that there's no flounder up there, but these are spots that I know that hold fish. So north of Violet Point, anywhere along here seems to be pretty productive flounder fishing. And what I like to do here is, if I'm gonna fish Dallas, I just fish the lee side of the tide. So if the tide's coming in, if I'm on a flood tide, I'll try to fish the east side of Dallas so that I'm drifting downhill. I find I like to drift downhill, or you know, stay on the same plane, drift up and down. What would that be? I like to drift parallel to my contour lines. So if I can't go downhill, then I want to go parallel to my contour lines. And that's one of the reasons I really like fishing in front of the spit here in PA, is it's just really easy. You're kind of always just drifting east or west. You pick the depth that you wanna drift on, and your gear just runs really well in there. So there's plenty of spots around here. I haven't fished this as extensively, but I have caught a handful of flounder up through this area. They're around. I know there's flounder in Dungeness Bay. There's a lot of flounder in Dungeness Bay. It is shallow, and one of the tactics that you can employ there actually that makes it a little more fun is you can get in the flats, you can get in the shallow, and instead of jigging in 60, 80 feet of water, you can cast, right? So you can do some cast and retrieve, so you can kind of cover a lot of ground. Just a different style of fishing. So Dungeness Bay has some really good flounder fishing in it as well. Another place that I like to go is down here inside of Disco Bay, just south of Diamond Point. And so the reason that I even knew to come here to try for flounder, other than the fact that they're freaking everywhere, is the last salmon derby that we had. I was fishing and we kind of got blown off the water. They were about 5-foot wind waves stacked up through here, and it was snowing and like 28 degrees, and it absolutely sucked. So I came around Diamond Point because it was like some protected water, and I was trolling along this bottom, and I caught like 3 or 4 really nice starry flounder. So when you get into here, you'll notice like this is really good cobblestone, river stone style bottom through here, and it carries pretty far south. I've actually never fished very far south. Like, I haven't fished down to the ramp. I'm sure that there's plenty of fish down there, but I know down where I haven't fished south of these pilings. Anywhere from Diamond Point down to these pilings, I've caught plenty of flounder. I've never fished the east side of Disco Bay. There's no reason that I haven't. I think that would be a wonderful area to try. So just to recap, zooming out here, we have like quite a bit of water and a lot of structure to fish. Launching out of PA, my first thing is I always go right in front of the spit on the other side of the Coast Guard station. We can usually catch a lot of fish, and I'm gonna like throw out some numbers that are conservative numbers, probably averages, and I'm telling you guys this not because I don't want you to think that I'm bragging or saying that I catch so many flounder or I've got it dialed in, but I just want to kind of try to build some realistic expectations around this fishery, so that if maybe you're doing something wrong, or you're not fishing right, you got the wrong gear, or maybe you just need to pick up and move. So when I come out here and fish in front of the spit here in PA, I might fish for 3 hours by myself and catch 20, 30 fish. Like, that's not really an exaggeration. And that's total fish. That'll probably be like 20 flounder, 18, 20 flounder, 10, 12 sculpin. I catch a lot of them through here just fishing with that number 2 hook, 2, 3, 4 inch Berkeley Gulp grub, and then whatever lead I need to get down, all in line like that. Super simple. So if you're fishing all day and or for hours on end and you're not catching fish, you probably have something that you're doing wrong. You're not in the right spot, you're not around structure, or you're using the wrong gear. And I want this fishery to grow. I want it to be an exciting thing. I want people to catch fish. And, that's part of the reason why I'm making this video, why we're making the rigging videos, and why I'm going to put it all together with an on the water video here, is just to show you guys, what's real, how many fish we're catching. And they're not all, right? They're not all monsters. I'm catching a lot of fish that are under a pound. And it's not, I tend to find them, especially here, in front of the spit, I tend to find them in pockets. And so I'll drift and catch 2 or 3. If I've got 3 people on the boat, like, we'll catch 2 or 3 fish, get back down, another 2 or 3, and then we'll be dead for 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we'll catch another 3 or 4 fish. So that's kind of really how flounder fishing is in my experience, fishing the areas that I fish. Where it's fast, where it's slow, the places that I would fish, the places that I have fished. So if anybody has any questions on that, I would love for you to comment, reach out to me. Most of you probably have my contact information. So comment on the Facebook page or wherever this video is, and I would be more than happy to answer questions. Get a hold of me. Let's go fishing together, guys. And I hope that we have a killer flounder pounder this year. And we'll see you June 6th.